Oh, it's live. It's a good thing I wasn't picking my nose or something. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me on this. It's a hot summer's evening in London for me here. It's 10 o'clock. It's the 23rd of August 2016. If you're watching this afterwards on YouTube, hello from the past, I guess. I mean, time is just an illusion, right? One of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to crack through just teaching you some straight techniques about how to manage contact with a narcissist. If you want more techniques, I have just released a product that's called How to Manage Contact with a Narcissist. It's an hour and 10 minutes long. Is the main thing, and then there's a technique that I've put in there that is called the circuit breaker technique, and that's a separate 20-minute video. If you do choose to go over to Spartan Life Coach and buy that product, just download it. Don't try and stream it. Things go horribly wrong when people try and stream things. So trying to stick it on your phone is fine. It takes about a gig of space, but it'd be better if you stuck it on your laptop or on your PC or your Mac or whichever deity you worship. I was laughing because people have already started in the Q&A section. Somebody says, am I late? And somebody else says, don't think so. Never took part in a live stream, but I guess it'll start any time now. Yeah, you're in the question section. You're actually asking questions right now. Let's keep it focused on managing contact with a narcissist. One of the things I do need to do is I need to check out how to screen share. Okay. Let me see. Entire screen. Share the screen. Whoa, disappearing into infinity. Okay, hopefully you can see this and can still hear my voice and everything is going well. I'm going to give you a taste of what's on the course. I'm going to start to show you, I'm going to start to teach you some of the techniques that I'm teaching in this course to help people. There are 5 simple rules to managing contact with a narcissist. Now, the rules are simple. That doesn't mean that applying them is easy and that it doesn't take a degree of discipline. It's an extremely provocative situation to be in contact with a narcissist. You know, they are professional button pushers, and so it is going to be difficult. But if you stick to the 5 simple rules I give you in this course, and all the techniques and belief shifts around them, you'll find managing contact with a narcissist will go from being extraordinarily painful and upsetting to pH neutral, benign, and then from pH neutral, benign, something that you can actually start to get some insight and some learning and some closure from. Rule number 1, do remember what it is that you are dealing with at all times. Don't go back into your precious trance-like slumber of thinking that, you know, they're something gentle and kind. That's the act that they do to lure you in, especially when you're dealing with a covert or a vulnerable narcissist. The NPD is a uniquely broken type of disorder that is malignantly in love with their own false image. A good understanding of the formation of NPD will help you with this. If you don't know how the NPD, the narcissistic personality disorder, is formed, then it can be quite difficult to understand, and you can stubbornly make the same mistakes over and over again. So if you want help with understanding the formation of narcissistic personality disorder, you can either go and watch some of Sam Vaknin's videos or buy his book, Malignant Self-Love, Narcissism Revisited, which is an excellent book. I highly recommend it, and it explains it in detail for you. Or I can explain it to you using dirty words and funny jokes and film references and a bit of pantomime, which is what people seem to like. When I say the NPD is a uniquely broken type of disorder, what I mean is that the break here, the broken element of it, is the traumatic break that they have with reality. The NPD is not an apex predator. They're not an alpha male or an alpha female. It is a more like a completely failed state, like a completely failed economic state, a completely failed national state, that is completely broken down. And the break is the traumatic break with reality. NPDs live inside of their own daydream of themselves and pull you into the daydream of themselves 24/7, even while sleeping. And that makes it a unique type of personality disorder. Some people even argue that it's not really a personality disorder. It's more like a neurotic series of machine-like defense mechanisms that were developed in childhood in response to a hostile environment. This means what they are not is, a bit difficult or a bit of a character. They are not victims who just need to be loved right in order to be reached. They are not confused. Therefore, reason and information will not fix the situation, as much as your impulses in your brain are telling them, oh, if I could just make things clear for them, maybe they could see where I was coming from and everything would be okay. No, 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 it won't be okay. Pouring reason and information will not fix the situation here. In fact, it's more likely going to make it worse, because the reasoning and the information giving that you offer will most likely be used as ammunition against you at a later date. They are not ever going to love you and respect you like a normal human being can. This is simply because they cannot. The formation of the narcissistic personality disorder is rooted in the stuffing down, the repression of vulnerable emotions, and a more vulnerable sense of self, which is where love and authentic feelings like love and affection come from. And it's been so stuffed down for such a long time that that part of the self has begun to atrophy through lack of use, and basically it's not there anymore. And so therefore they can't actually access those feelings in the same way a normal person would. Rule number 2, do give up hope. Managing contact with a narcissist is actually 90% managing your addiction to codependency, to the drama cycle, and to your malignant optimism. Malignant optimism is a term that Sam Vaknin has, excuse me, felt like I got karate chopped in the throat then, is a term that Sam Vaknin has coined to describe the rigid and stubborn way in which codependents hold so ferociously and so fiercely to the idea that the narcissist in their life can be healed and cured if they're just shown enough love and attention and you know, the right kind of affection. You are screen sharing. Stop. How do I make my face show? There it is. Okay. So there are 5 rules, and they have all kinds of different sub techniques and different bits and pieces that are in there. But the core thing I wanted you to get there is 2 things. One is appreciating. So rather than just give you a load of techniques, my position is that if you actually really understand with a depth and a degree of profundity what the narcissistic personality disorder is, what its purpose is, how it was formed, and what it's looking for, a lot of the contact with the narcissist will become clearer, but only if you give up hope on the idea of the person behaving in a way that is non-narcissistic. Does that make sense? So then it all becomes very clear. Every little thing you get through, you know, the texts, the Facebook messages, the WhatsApps, the Vibers, social media posts, face-to-face meetings that you have to do, if you've got to see them at work, comments, ambient abuse, facial expressions, body positioning, as we've discussed on other videos, all of these can be a way of leveraging like covert abuse at the target. If the person is an overt narcissist, then it may be, or a psychopath even, then it may be more demonstrative and overt than that. And that's when it can actually become illegal and the person can end up going to jail. So once you've accepted, yes, okay, what I'm dealing with here is a narcissistic personality disorder, and you just give up hope, then you can start processing how to manage contact with this narcissist in a way that, because I think what a lot of codependents do, and a lot of people with CPTSD, the enablers of narcissists, the fawn response type people, we sort of know and we do not know at the same time. We know and yet we do not know. Zizek refers to this as the Fetishist Split, which is an idea that he developed from Freud, which is that we create a split inside of our own minds where, because we want to remain in a certain situation, we know that there is enormous suffering and malignancy over here, but we want to continue enjoying this thing over here. So we split it inside of our own head so that we know and do not know simultaneously, turning your brain into the box that Schrodinger's cat was rather cruelly put inside of, if indeed he ever was really outside of a metaphor. Hold the line, please. Bear with me. Something else I want to show you. Okay. Alrighty. So one of the things that I've developed for this particular course that would actually give somebody, a person who's in regular contact with a narcissist. I didn't show you the rest of rule 2 because I want to tease you. I didn't show you rule 3 because that shows you some of the techniques that you can actually, it's like in rule 3, we take grey rock and then we develop techniques from the grey rock principle, because sometimes grey rock also is not enough. You actually need a little bit more than that. Sometimes you really need the narcissist to go away rapidly without inflicting narcissistic injury and therefore narcissistic vengeance and rage after that. So I've given you techniques in that particular rule to do that. I've not shown you that because as much as I want to teach stuff, I also want you to buy the course. So it's kind of a bit of a tease. Sorry about that. This is rule number 4, which is a concept that I've called using a circuit breaker. The narcissist prey contact communication circuit. If you begin at 11 o'clock on the clock that I've created here, it says the narcissist feels low. So it's important to understand that many times narcissistic abuse begins when the narcissist feels low. I had the insight into this when I was talking to Sam Vaknin when I met him face to face in London recently, and he said that he's exploring more in the realms of NPD as a kind of mood disorder. And it got me thinking about just how important the aspect of emotional states are when we're looking at the relationship between abuser and abusee as far as emotional abuse goes. So most abuse starts when the narcissist is actually feeling low or depleted. What they will typically do is they will reach out with provocative communication, excellent button pushing, you know, and they're masters of this. They know whether it's time to be overt or to just imply something by tone and by being covert. They know what is going to wind you up the most, and they know how to get in under your normal defenses that you would normally have against other people because they're highly skilled in this regard. Doesn't make them all powerful or all knowing, though that is their fantasy of themselves, is as omnipotent and omniscient, but they are not. But they are good at reaching out with a provocative communication for the purpose of getting a spike. So the victim at that point, the target, gets an adrenaline spike and they change emotional state. Now, let me just stop you here because you might be going, yeah, Richie, we know this. Okay. Do you know that this is the whole fucking point? The point is there is no point. Gary Klein said that. The point is there is no point. The point is to cause chaos. The point is to cause distress. Because if you are distressed, imagine I'm the narcissist and I communicate with you. If you are distressed, if you're feeling emotional chaos, that proves my power. That proves the power I have over you and the hold I have over you. And I start to feel better. So pain is dished out for its own sake. The victim gets an adrenaline spike and changes emotional state. At that point, I feed, I sip at your pain, I drink your milkshake. Most of us who are enabler fawn types will then immediately reply, trying to use reason where there is none. How many of us have banged our heads against that particular brick wall using reason and rationality and objectivity where there is none? You're throwing it into like this permanently spinning ball, this Tasmanian devil of craziness, and you're hoping that what gets spat out the other side is going to be something rational or like a, hey, yeah, you know what, you're right, I shouldn't have said that, that was wrong, I broke a boundary there, I'm just feeling down right now, we should totally talk about this. Like, no, that shit ain't gonna happen. And the more you hope it's gonna happen, the more pain you gonna get. Okay. So then what happens is when the victim replies, trying to use reason where there is none, clearly demonstrating a state of distress, because you're not hiding your emotions in the way you think you are. The poker player that you are is nothing compared to the poker player that they are, and they know that you're struggling at that moment. So whatever you reach out with is going to reflect your distress. The narcissist at that point will feel high and will learn that this works. They then keep it in the toolbox for the next time they need to inflict that upon you. Oh, I'm such a little tease. Let me teach you one more thing. There is this concept I've created called a circuit breaker. This comes from neurolinguistic programming and from martial arts and a bit of weird magic, mystical stuff. That's kind of martial arts here. It crosses the boundaries between psychology, martial arts, and magic, which I talk about very briefly. It doesn't really matter like where it comes from. I talk about it very briefly on the course if you choose to go and buy the course, How to Manage Contact with a Narcissist, and I highly recommend you do because it's very good. Then yeah, you'll find out a little bit more about that. But it doesn't really matter where it comes from. The point is that I need to teach you techniques that are going to take power out of the hands of the narcissist and put them back in your hands. Okay. So when the communication comes, the prey uses a circuit breaker, which they have developed in their peak state, which means that you have developed, if you know your neurolinguistic programming, this is just called anchoring. So you set an anchor between a peak of an emotional state and a physical gesture or a sound or a particular thing that you might say to yourself. And then that creates a neural network. The neurons that fire together wire together, and the more repetition and the more intensity of emotion there is, then the more of an anchor or a link or a neural connection there is. So when that communication comes through, that reaction-seeking communication comes through, if you actually use a circuit breaker, which allows you to not get sucked back in to this cycle, this never-ending cycle of emotional abuse, it will actually check. The predominant thing it does is changes your emotional state, not their emotional state. Trying to alter the emotional state of somebody with NPD is dangerous and extremely unpredictable because they have, let me think, is this the proper psychological term? Labile affect. And I'm pretty sure that's the right term. And what it means is that their emotions are up and down and all over the place. So it's actually quite hard to predict from moment to moment, morning to afternoon to evening, how they will respond to one stimulus on any given day at any particular moment. So we're only seeking to take back control of our own emotional state. The circuit breaker is like a meta anchor for a meta state. So you do it repeatedly. I show you exactly how to do this on the course, but you make a physical gesture, you create a certain internal representation, and you say a certain sequence of words. That then fires off the anchor to your peak emotional state, which allows you to, apart from anything else, it's a great way of reminding yourself, hey, somebody's trying to wind me up, and no, I'm not going to let this happen. You then access and anchor the state repeatedly. You vividly imagine communicating with them in a way that allows you to feel detached and calm whilst in contact. You repeat it frequently with emotional intensity, and you load the state with good feelings. And if you use that circuit breaker when they reach out to you, it's not going to have the effect they desire. This is what will happen instead. Go to 11 o'clock on the dial, on the clock face of this cycle. The narcissist feels low. They go into depletion. Perhaps a little plan for them didn't work out, or they got some negative feedback from reality that leaked through into their fantasy land that made them feel not as powerful as they would like to feel. They feel low, so they reach out with a provocation so they can have a little sip of your milkshake. I just got a vision, actually. I'm sure there's a film called The Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And I think what they would do is they would hang people up by like a shell of candy floss. It was a really crap horror movie in the 80s that I saw. And then they would stick a straw in them and drink their blood, I think. And maybe that's one of those crazy memories that I've slightly made up. So they reach out and they need to pierce the skin. The skin, if you know your psychosomatic healing modalities, represents the boundary with reality. So if you have like a skin rash, or you break out in spots, or your skin gets whatever, that's usually related to being some kind of a boundary issue. So they reach out and they pierce you with some painful communication, some blood causing communication. They cut you in effect so that they can have a little sip of that pain. You actually use a circuit breaker. which, as I explained before, is an NLP, predominantly an NLP, but it's also a martial arts technique, and it's also rooted in this mystic school of Buddhism called the Mikyo from Japan, that allows you to access an altered state of consciousness. Don't get freaky, don't get all weird. It's just an altered state of consciousness is what you're in right now listening to me. You're in a low trance state of hypnosis, which is why if I say, hey, feel really good right now, then you just you obey me, because we're in rapport and you just feel good for no reason whatsoever. You then reply with something called pseudo stupidity and a distraction tactic. These are actually direct mirror tactics that I took from Sam Vaknin for what he describes narcissists use against their prey. They use a concept called pseudo stupidity, and they use distraction tactics all day long. As long as I can get you not talking about, not thinking about what it is I don't want you to think about, because I don't want you to look at the man behind the curtain. Don't look at the man behind the curtain. Look at the smoke and mirrors and the dragons and the fascinating colors over here on the stage. Don't look at what I'm actually doing. I took that tactic and I was like, right, we can use that. Pseudo stupidity is a great way of reminding yourself to not communicate with sincerity. Of course, I go into much more depth, and this has already been pre-explained at rule number 2 and rule number 3 before this point in the course. I'm just giving you some stuff here, but my hope is that you go, ooh, this is cool, and then you go and buy the course, obviously, whilst learning something. So you reply with pseudo stupidity and distraction tactics. The narcissist feeds, but not from you, from a decoy target. I'm not going to explain that. You must buy the course if you want to understand what that means. The narcissist then drifts away completely fed, and the victim is no longer victimized. That's how you take the power back in that situation. Okay, whether you are communicating face-to-face or via other means, you should always use grey rock tactics. Grey rock tactics means that you seek to diminish the contact as much as you possibly can with that person by making it as dull as you can. I'm not going to describe too much about tactical naivety here. Pseudo stupidity you can work out for yourself. You just pretend to be dumb when you're not. I'm not going to explain that. I'm not going to explain that either. The most important thing here is that you diminish the contact. You diminish it. So you make it as small as you possibly can. And this is quite literal. So when I describe making contact smaller, I mean, if they turn up at your door to pick up the kids because they're taking them away for the weekend, and they say 15 words to you, you reply with 3. If they send you a text that is like War and Peace, you know, like 3 texts long, you reply with a polite 15-word reply that addresses what they said, and you do it in a timely fashion, but you are constantly giving them less. So they can't really get mad at you because you are talking to them, but you're not giving them that emotional response anymore. So they've come in, they're hoping they're going to get some delicious meal of pain from you, and you're like, yeah, you can totally feed here, but instead of that 1,500 calorie delicious pizza you would normally eat, you're just going to get this bowl of porridge. I might put half a scoop of protein in it. I'm not even going to make it with milk, mate. I'm not even going to make it with milk. I think the total of this little bowl of porridge that I made with water and half a scoop of protein is going to be like 300 calories. Dude, man, bro, that's all you're getting from me today. So they get fed, so they can't whinge, they can't go into attack mode, but they're not getting fed what they want. Eventually, this is because narcissists are quite impressionable. They're actually quite easy to charm themselves, and the complexity of the screen that shows you a screen of another screen of another screen of another screen manifests in relationships, because who gets had off by narcissists? Well, very frequently other narcissists. Not all victims of narcissists are narcissists themselves, but frequently it's quite common to find 2 very, very highly narcissistic personalities in a relationship with each other, if not full-blown NPD. So yeah, they're very impressionable, and it's quite easy to slip in past the conscious mind and get them to unconsciously accept that you're not going to give them what they're looking for, and it'll become their own idea. They'll be like, oh, I should go and speak to one of my other ex-boyfriends, or maybe I should chat to that guy again who was after me, and I just, you know, if it's in the context of a romantic relationship. If it's somebody at work and they're like bullying people, you can get that shark to drift away and go and gnaw on somebody else's leg because they're not getting what it is they want from you. And the essence of that is managing your emotional state and staying in a good emotional state. It's very, very disappointing for them if they say things to you and it doesn't have any impact. Being the bad boy, being the bad girl, being the scariest person in the room, even if they're loathed, they're still significant. So they like all that stuff. So they don't have the same moral boundaries or the same moral expectations we have. So yeah, you literally need to diminish the contact as much as you can as an order of priority. That's it. I'm going to answer some questions right now on managing contact with a narcissist. Okay. Emma asks, today my ex-narc for the first time showed his personality disorder to our 7-year-old. He took him out of his bike because he did not answer properly. Took him out of his bike. Took his bike away from him maybe because he didn't answer properly. And the little boy, he felt criticized. What to say to a little boy to explain this? Well, within this course, the reason why the first video is 1 hour and 20 minutes long is because I go into answering questions like this, and I even give you a script that you don't have to learn by heart, but you can get the essence of the script, and it will teach you exactly what to say word for word that you can say to a child. 7's probably a bit young. The way that I designed it, I was thinking of a kid who was like 10, 11, 12, but you can adapt the script. And it does, I give you 2 methods, a primary method and a secondary method in the course for how to, you know, because you've got to speak to the child in such a way that is going to allow them to have boundaries without inflicting narcissistic injury on the NPD parent. And to not get damaged by the experience of being raised in an NPD environment, or to be damaged less. And I actually give that advice within the course. But there are things you can say to a child, there are things you can do to help there to stop that from happening. But it's a bit of a long-winded answer, and it's right there on the course. So I recommend you get it. Continued. Elgul with the continued question. Didn't get your original question. Sorry, Elgul. My question is, how likely is it that this is the lure? Oh dear. Hang on. Let me see if... right. Cool. This is how it starts. This is really good. Why would you say if it's good? I'm back in a predicament. I uprooted my life to get out of the relationship. Now my ex is acting very nice and saying he needed a wake-up call to see what was important to him, aka not treating his girlfriend like dirt. Did he? That's beautiful. I've heard that story too. It's a cool story. I heard it several times. It's just the wake-up call I needed. I know I really need to change. And within a week, we're right back to square one. You say, I FKD up. Do you mean you're fucked up? My question is, how likely is it that this is the lure? What's the lure? What's the lure? That what you just showed me was the lure is the lure? Like if you went into a fishing shop and they showed you a lure and a hook, would you go, how likely is this that this is a lure? Because the shop assistant would be like, that's it. That's what we got. He's not really going to stay nice forever. How do I get over the guilt of continually trying to dump this person and him not listening and continuing to pursue me? You've assumed there that everybody in your situation feels guilty. Not everybody does. I understand. I empathize with strong feelings of guilt keeping you locked into a relationship, but you've got to figure out whether that guilt is guilt because you were raised in an environment where you were guilt tripped by both parents all the time neurotically as a way of putting up a smoke screen so you couldn't see the bullshit abusive things they were doing. Because I know somebody who was raised in an environment like that, and I know somebody who can be made to feel guilty like this, like this. It's really easy. Not in a normal relationship, but when it becomes an intimate relationship, it's quite easy to do. So yeah, you want to look at, why do you feel guilty? What is it in your current life? What is the story you're living now that makes you feel like you should feel guilty? And then you want to look at childhood and go, were you neurotically guilted and shamed in childhood? Okay. I won't say your name, just in case you don't know that your name is here. CH says, just a hump ahead here. Okay. That's a Freudian slit. Haha, it's where you say one thing, but you mean your mother. No more jokes today. That's it. I'm putting myself on a joke ban. Just to jump ahead here, how do you protect your children from a narcissistic ex when they live with her? Mine are 18 months old and there are 2. Yeah, as I said, There is a section on the course that deals with that, you know, up until the age of 5 or 6, where they start to develop their own ego boundaries. It's going to be really tough. It's going to be a difficult thing to do. But once they get to a certain age where they can understand certain things, then you can explain to them in a way that is boundaried to help them develop their own boundaries. Emma, honestly, you're acting like a person who I've paid as a shill to advertise my products. Emma asks now, how can I get out of the rage, which I cannot feel because I'm afraid of my ex? So he pretty much has the control. I know I'm angry at him, but I cannot contact it because I'm afraid. How to clean my emotions? Well, Emma, what you need to do is buy my course, How to Manage Anger After Narcissistic Abuse. I actually haven't released that yet, but the one part of the video is done for that. And there's a whole course there that will explain exactly why you feel so much anger after narcissistic abuse and exactly how to clear it. Let me give you a quick tip, though, that you can download to your Kindle tonight. The Tao of Fully Feeling, which I think is a crap title for a book, but it's Pete Walker, and it's excellent. It's a game-changing book. It's a consciousness elevating book, and it's all about emotional processing. That would be a good place to start until my amazing course comes out. I've not even done it yet, but I'm convinced it'll be awesome. Stephen says, not a question, just a thank you. Thank you for attending, Steve. Thank you, sir. Okay, there seems to be no more questions. Excellent. I will very quickly go to the YouTube video and see if there's anything there for me to answer. And then after that, I will wrap this up. Wrap this up. Wow, I hit my own voice. That's weird. Okay. Sophie T says, LMAO, Lamau, Lamau. I love your methods, Lamau. I will buy the course when I next have the money. The money? I've needed this forever. Cool, that would be good. You talked about doing grey rock or acting less interesting around the narc that you remain in contact with. However, what if I'm currently conducting an escape plan to get away from my narcissistic mother? Should I try to act normal, i.e. a bit more exciting or happy so that she doesn't suspect something is amiss? I find myself coming from home and telling her funny or interesting things about my day, even though my smile immediately drops when I'm out of her presence. You got to do what you know is right whilst you're surviving behind the enemy lines, homie. You're in the torture chamber right now. So if a little song and dance routine is gonna help you not have your fingernails pulled out tonight, then that's what you do. Is the opposite of grey rock sometimes helpful or never helpful? Dude, why would you create this false dichotomy? That's not the opposite of grey rock. You're being less interesting by being the same that you always are. So you're giving them the same consistent pattern of communication the entire time. So what you're doing, even though it's these are puerile stories that you're telling to get a smile out of it, you're not revealing your innermost secrets or feelings. So this is still grey rock, what you're doing. I hope that helps. Miss Kay says, thank you for posting your videos. You've really helped me to understand so much. Thank you. It's nice to hear that from people. I never get tired of hearing that what I'm doing is helping, because sometimes it's really fucking hard and it crushes my soul. And then when my soul is crushed, it humps it hard and then shoves it in a bin behind a dumpster and pisses on it. And then other times it feels okay. I was bad. I think I released a video about 2 weeks ago. I was not in a good place and now I'm okay again. So it's nice to hear that videos are helping. I'm hoping that I've found a way of doing this work without having my soul dumpstered and pissed upon. Live with Spartan, right? Life coach. And this is crazy. And go to oh, okay, there wasn't really a question there. He's trying to suck you in to spit you back out. Yes. Rafael says 5 rules. You talked about 1 and 2. You missed 3, 4, 5 rule. I know, Rafael, because this is a video where you learn some stuff, but it's kind of a teaser video that makes you want to go and buy the actual product. That's what's happening here, which is why I said, but that's what's happening here. Corey says, time is a measurement. Corey, Make me a flipping hash brownie. Look at you. Where are you from? Colorado. Come on, you've got to be. Anyway, you have the good hash brownies. Ain't me one. I went in a flotation tank. I don't particularly like weed. I'm not particularly into drugs at all. But I went into a flotation tank last week after Joe Rogan was going banging on about it for so long. And I was like, this is actually a bit crap. I think I would enjoy more just lying on the couch. And then afterwards I thought, this is one environment where a hash brownie would probably really help. And Corey, you look like just the man. V says, I don't know if it's the battery being too low or the memory, but I'm getting a blank screen. Can you guys see? Evelyn says, works fine here. Good luck. I don't know what that is, dude. Can we ask you questions here, says Gustav? No. Yes, you can. Raphael says, their power is not what they can say about us, but what they can make us believe about ourselves. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, what they say about you at the external level is annoying and distressing. I've had recent experience of this. But yeah, the real pain and the real torture is what they cause you to believe about yourself. That's a very insightful comment. Thank you, Raphael. Joyful Melody. Hi, you've been with me a long time. I'm over here. You're over where, kid? What are you doing over there? You're over there, you're screaming. I'm over here screaming yes. You're over there screaming yes, like it's a screamy place or something. I'm trying not to swear. We know and we don't know all at the same time. Oh yeah, you're talking about the Fetishist Split. You gotta thank our Balkan friend, Mr. Slavoj Zizek, for that one. We know, and yet, at the same time, in the most naive sense, we do not also know. I claim. I'm an officer of the Lure. That's very funny. Thank you, Magenta Mornings. I'm an officer of the Lure. We were my mate, Mandik, who you have seen if you've come to some of the seminars. We like the word L-U-R-E because when you have a bit of a Scouse accent, it's very hard to say. And we both wanted to go back up to Liverpool or Wallasey, where he's from, and just show people the word and say, how do you say this? Because in a Scouse accent, it's like Lure. It's hard to say. That's why Scousers don't say it. They'd be like, a trap. It's a fucking trap. FY, the front page of your book sale has a typo. 1.1 instead of 1 and 2. Huh? Okay. There are a few more throughout the book, but the message is not distorted in any way. Which book? What book are you talking about? SU says, I've started winding my friend Narcissist up and I'm using it as a learning experience. I've been very naive for too long. That's on you if that's what you want to do. Chris says, time is not an illusion, but it is relative. Yes, it is, sir. Thank you, Richard. I'm in the live stream, but cannot see the live comments. I don't know why. I don't know why they're changing it. We're all going to be on YouTube live as of September. There's something. This way of doing things, I don't like it. Nobody likes it. It's a mess. So Google got hold of YouTube and was like, we still want to have Google Plus because that's going to be the new Facebook. And Google Plus was a load of wank that will give you a nervous breakdown if you try and use it for too long. And they've realized that, but instead of changing it, they're just going, oh, actually, we'll just go back to YouTube Live because that's how this used to be done. It just used to be streamed straight through YouTube back in the day, back in the dizzy. Chevon, hi Richard, can we ask questions on YouTube? No, everybody else can, but not you. No, yeah, you can. I probably won't say it now. I'm going to wrap up soon. AJ says, been 8 months, no contact. I have zero desire to ever listen to him again. He's still finding ways to hoover, and I'm still removing and blocking. The only thing I'm hopeful for at this point is that he just disappears and never bothers me again. Yeah, he will do if he finds another source of supply. Good luck, all. Smiley face. Ding. Celestine says, yes, and it's a big, thick Yorkshire stone wall. What is? Spot on, Richard. You do help so much. Once again, thank you. There's a metaphor that's running in your mind that I don't understand. I might have referenced this before and forgotten it already, but a big, thick Yorkshire stone wall. PD says, thanks for sharing this. Cool. SU says, the more pain you gonna get. Okay. Just a quick one. Sam Vaknin recommended a video for me. Why would that be? Because he thought you would benefit from watching it? Maybe? I'd say it a bit more high-pitched. Because he thought you would benefit from watching it? Maybe? That's the only reason I can think of recommending a video for somebody. ND says, what if you, oh, that's not your real name. Okay. I'll use your handle. Next Disney. What if you stay perfectly calm and they continue to escalate, becoming more and more aggressive? This happened to me. And he kept aggressing 45 plus more minutes. Maybe a question for the forum. Keeping a good state made the interaction more bearable for me, but there should be a way to disarm the aggressor when they can't be escaped. There's aggression and there's aggression. I mean, at some point, this is going to become a self-protection question, in which case I'll be telling you to fucking hit him in the chin and headbutt him and gouge him in the eyes and then knee him repeatedly in the Swede. But if it's just verbal aggression, make sure you're not provoked into you doing something that is unlawful, because these are the masters of provocation, and your calm state might have been causing him to ramp up. Without knowing more, I really wouldn't want to say, and I don't want to give you self-protection advice or legal advice. Always behave in a way that is lawful, and always use reasonable force if you do have to protect yourself. Miss Intuition says, I missed the beginning. Well, that can happen, but you can watch it on YouTube. Thank you, Richard says, Truth 2027. Thank you, Truth. I was told today my understanding of what a lie is clearly wrong. The latest gem. Yeah, that's from DA. So there's two things that I want to discuss, and I want it would be cool if I could get Sam Vaknin's input on this. I did say this to him the other day. One is hyper competitiveness. Like, nobody seems to be talking about how MPDs are riddled with hyper competitiveness, or not enough. They're not talking about it enough. And the other thing is sophistry. Sophistry. Not everybody has English as their first language who watches this channel. What I'm saying is SOPHISTRY. I literally had to look at the wall and write it there. Sophistry. So this is kind of it goes back to Greek philosophy. The description of how, and the narcissist, especially the more cerebral narcissist, will frequently use sophistry. So they'll just they're like internet trolls. They'll just keep the argument going by asking you to define what your meaning is of anything. So if you say to them, you told me that you would pick me up at 4 and you didn't, then they'll be like, well, what does your concept of pick me up mean? Because maybe I did by my definition of pick me up. What is your definition of time? Because maybe my definition of time is different, so on and so forth. It's sophistry. It's just wordplay that means nothing. It's worth Googling, checking it out. Sia, oh, Sia, thanks for coming. Oh, Sia Chandelier, no less. The more I practice the grey rock technique, the better I become. It's good to hear that. Now take that silly thing off your face. Come on. We all know what your face is now. It's not cool. Imagine if I did Google Hangouts like this. Oh, no, it's not like this. It's with just the mouth showing. Like this. That would be annoying, Sia Chandelier. So you stop that shizzle right now, because I said so. We've all seen your face, and it's fine. And you just crack on, go. Do your thing. How come you haven't got your hair out, Richie? Well, because I think I get kicked off YouTube. Oh, this hair. Oh, a pubic hair joke. It must be getting late. Is the title that you're speaking of now titled Overcome Narcissistic Abuse Course? No, it's called How to Manage Contact with a Narcissist. And I haven't given you the link yet. I'm going to give you the link right at the very end. Okay? Trust. Have faith. How to manage contact with a narcissist is what you're looking for. I'm so glad you're feeling better, Richard. I love your humor. Thank you very much. I am feeling better. It was a spiritual revelation. I received a message from the Pleiades, and they told me that I was becoming too localized, and that my sense of myself was too trapped in a mechanistic view of reality, which would ultimately be exhausting, and that what I had to do was realize that my frequency needed to be raised up by understanding of the eternal yes, which is that whatever we hold to be true about reality, and whatever we say is true for ourselves repeatedly, and with enough emotion. Emotion is key, the Palladian alien intelligence told me, would manifest as truth. So if I say my life really sucks, then the universe, the reality field which I'm creating, would say, yes, it really sucks, and then bring me more of that back. Or I'm getting really tired here, and it would go, yes, you get that back. You can never have what you want, because when you say you want something, you're manifesting a state of wanting this and not having this, and you just create more want. So whatever you focus on, you're actually creating more of. And I said, thanks, Palladians. And, you know, it was cool of them to drop by, and it was all good after that. So, you know, you got to do your mantras, man. Callie will help you. Okay, one more question and I'm going to bounce. I'm the primary living caregiver for my aging covert narc mother. That sucks. That's a bit like the series one of The Sopranos, isn't it? She has, towards the end, she has literally no social life anymore. I keep failing to keep my emotions out of our interactions. Well, that's, you know what your problem is, mate? Is you're human. Just don't be human, and then this won't happen anymore. Yeah, of course your emotions are there in your interactions. You're the primary living caregiver for your aging covert narcissist mother. I can think of nothing worse. Well, I could think of a few things worse. It would take a bit of imagination, you know. I keep failing to keep my emotions out of our interactions. Are the techniques in your course to help deal with a narcissist you can't get away from? Yes, they are. They're there to help you to remain emotionally and psychologically detached. They're specifically so that you don't end up where I was a few weeks ago, in a state of exhaustion, you know, where I was watching a video the other day of a group of hamsters, and one of the hamsters was jumping inside the food bowl and then doing this and then flipping over and doing a full backflip. And people were going, oh, that's so cute. He really loves it because it feels good for him to do that. And I looked it up. Apparently, it's something called stargazing, and they're treating it like it's a genetic fault, where some hamsters eventually will just start looking up at the stars until they fall backwards. And then other people were saying, well, all it is an effect of being stuck in captivity. You know, they're not supposed to be in a tiny little fucking box with a bunch of other hamsters with just the same smell all the time. A lot of mammals, you know, are there. They need new smells. We all need new, but their primary sense is the nose, and they're just smelling the same plastic box, the 10 other people that they live with, and the hay, and they just go fucking crazy. And being trapped in a narcissistically abusive relationship can end up feeling like that, being stuck inside a hamster wheel to the point where you're flipping over backwards out the food bowl to feel something. Maybe just staring at the stars going, how the fuck do I get out of here? Maybe that's what he was doing every time. How the fuck do I get out of here? That's what we should do, is we should gaze out to the stars and ask the Palladians to come down and offer us assistance. You know, higher alien. What? Don't get mad at me because of the alien intelligences. God damn it. The course will help you to not. That's where I was a few weeks ago. I was just burnt out, and it's like being a raw nerve. The adrenaline button has been pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. You know, you can't sleep. All your emotions are dysregulated. My emotions were spiking. Then after that, they flatlined. Self-isolation, blah blah blah. Thank God I teach the stuff. Otherwise. And I have access to the material. Like, I get it for free. Otherwise, we've been really screwed. And thank God for the Palladians. Well, they are the gods, really, because what they did was they took the alien DNA and listen. It's not that kind of YouTube channel. Stanley Kubrick, 2001. What do you think that monolith was? You know, got to look at the genes, homies. Garden of Eden. Yeah, Adam and Eve. That's what it's all about. Okay, so. Will it help you if you're trapped in contact with an NPD person? Yes. And you need this help when the NPD abuse is covert. You must get help when you're facing covert abuse. And you've got to be so flipping careful where you get that help from, because there are therapists and there are counselors out there who will flatly look you in the fucking face and tell you that narcissistic personality disorder doesn't exist and emotional abuse doesn't exist, and it's all inside your head, which is exactly what the narcissist wants you to hear. And what do you do after that? You go inside the food bowl, you go up, you look at the stars, and you go, "Be the fuck out of here!" And you flip over backwards until you go crazy and die. And that's your way of escaping the situation. So, yeah. You shouldn't be the primary living caregiver for your covert narcissistic mother. That would be a higher level of advice, would be to get out of that situation. If you really have to live with it, you've got testing times ahead. If you survive it with your sanity intact, I will personally present you with your black belt. That's, you know, I can say that because, you know, you won't survive it. It's horrifying. No, I mean, these techniques are going to help. They're going to help, but they don't cure. They don't cure the pain, they help. Now, you can get this course and you could check it out and you could be like, yeah, I listened to you and you answered my question, blah, blah, blah. I want to try a course, but it really didn't help me. Then I'll just give you a refund. I'll just say, yeah, fine. Just, you know, just email me and you keep the material and I'll just refund you. And that'll be that. But the course is specifically designed for people who feel like they're imprisoned by somebody who is a covert narcissist. So it should really help you. As we're looking to the stars and asking for the Palladians to come down and help you. I'm not apologizing this time. I'm just totally, no, okay, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. What? Now, then, guys, the thing I want to finish with is, oh, Stephen T says, what happened to New York? The video on YouTube, literally just before this one, mate, is called What Happened to the New York Seminar, and that explains it all. Which leads us into the Sam Vaknin seminar. That's on the 24th and 25th next month. It will not be screened. It will not be televised. It will not be filmed because it cannot be for various legal reasons. If you want to come and you want to check out all I'm presenting, I'm doing 6 sessions on day 1, 6 sessions in 4.5 hours. So if you think I talk quickly normally, I'll be talking really quick on that day. And then on day 2, it's Sam and his wife Lydia, who are going to let you ask them any and all questions you have about any experiences that you've had with a narcissistic abuser. And Sam has said that he will channel, quote unquote, as it were, the abuser. So he'll be able to give you any answers that you need, any lingering answers that you need. And in session 2, Lydia and Sam will take the floor and you can ask her or him any questions you want about their marriage and how she survives being with him. So yeah, I highly recommend you come down. It's not going to be filmed, so you've got to check it out. It's all new material. What he's doing, really risky, Africa as well. What he's doing has never been done before, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a really, really good weekend. So if you can come, then do. It's a nice place, you know, and you get fed and given coffee and cakes. Cakes, no less. Cakes, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, ladies and gents, thank you very much for your time and your attention. E4100 says, have you got ADHD, Richie, or just a fast brain? Either way, I love your vids, buddy. I learned to talk my way out of trouble when I was younger. I've been looking a lot at the fact that like stand-up comedians tend to have some kind of a relationship with martial arts, or particularly with boxing, and that's usually because stand-up comics have a fight-fawn response, and fighting and fawning require you to think on your feet really, really quickly. ADHD, no, I don't talk like this normally. This is me in presenter mode, trying to convey as much information as I can in a way that is as interesting as possible. And so, yeah, that's why I talk like that. Okay, guys, thanks for your time and your attention. I hope you enjoyed that. The link for the course, which is called How to Manage Contact with a Narcissist, I will put below the video on YouTube, and I will put below the video on the Google Hangout page. Hope you enjoyed that, and I will be speaking to you again very soon. Thank you. I'm still on. Why does this happen? Why? What is it, computer? What do you need? What do you need from me? You tell me what you need. Let's communicate right now. What do you need? Why are you hanging? I bet this has gone off and I'm just talking to myself right now. I didn't push your buttons right. Oh, babes, you should have said. Don't be shy. This one's the one you wanted. There you go. Take that.